Folks, voting for bears is important, but some might argue that voting for humans is even more important. However, that can be tricky if you're a parent. With us here to discuss that challenge is the Executive Director of politicit, Emily Teixeira. Thanks for being here, Emily.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
So can you tell us a bit about what politicit does?
So, politicit is a small, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, and our whole mission is to get parents more involved in civic activities and civic engagement, down from PTA meetings, city council, all the way up to lobbying Congress, or specifically these days, we're working on our voting initiative. So, getting parents to the ballot box is a big thing. And we do that by covering the cost of childcare.
So for anyone who does not have kids, why might it be hard for parents to vote?
For parents, we have an added layer of difficulty because we have to figure out what to do with our kids while we're voting. And if you can't vote during hours when your kids are either at school or already with a childcare provider, you have to figure out, are you taking your kid with you? And if so, do you have snacks? Can you bring snacks? Do you have all of the accoutrement that having a small child with you requires? Does your kid have the patience to potentially stand in line with you? Some places up to hours, people are in line. Will they touch the buttons and shut down voting systems? Because I have a friend who had that happen to her. And some places also make it kind of restrictive in terms of you can't have anyone else in the actual ballot space with you. And so what are you going to do with your 4-year-old? Let them just run around outside? Hope they stand right next to you behind the curtain? It's hard to say. So if you aren't bringing your kid with you to the polling place, which personally I have not done yet, and I'm hoping to avoid for a while, then you have to pay for childcare or set it up. And that's an expense and a barrier for a lot of families.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I had to go to the post office yesterday, solo, thank God, and there was a woman in there with 3 children under the age of 5, and she was under siege, man. She was not having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think people who are parents, we automatically see it and we're like, oh, I feel you. I get that.
So let's talk about moms specifically. Why might it be more important than ever for moms to vote in this particular midterm election?
Yeah, so as an organization, because we are so nonpartisan, I will say that it's important for moms to vote in every election. It's important for parents and families to be involved in every level that they can be, but especially in elections, because when we vote for representatives, those are the people that are making decisions about who is on our, so we vote for our school board, right? So we're voting on who's taking care of the rules around what our children learn, who's going to read the textbooks and approve them for our schools. And then you keep going all the way up the chain to who's going to help with paid family medical leave. Will that get passed in your state? Nationally, what will be the requirements for children and childcare providers? So can you start making some of those laws lax and make it easier for childcare providers that aren't amazing? I think it's a whole gamut of issues that should be very important, but particularly on this, next election, I think there's a lot of things that are on the ballot that we aren't really thinking of because they're not specifically on the ballot, right? So there's women's reproductive rights, there's gun violence prevention issues, all these things that affect both mothers, but also our babies.
So I know politicit is a nonpartisan organization, and we here at the Phoenix News Network are a little bit less so. And so I will say, I think if moms want to have control over how many babies they have, then voting is really important right now. Also, I want to hear, why is this particular issue important to you? Have you had an experience with your own kids where you were like, oh gosh, we got to help people out with this?
Or our program, actually, we have 2 separate programs, and one is our Childcare for Voters program. But we have moved to North Carolina, and so I will start having to figure out where my kids are and when and how I can access early voting so that I don't have to bring them with me yet, although someday I would love to, as they get older and more controlled. But our other program that we have is a civic engagement program, and that is currently just based in Oregon, but we are looking to start expanding and spreading that. And our civic engagement program is the one that does direct reimbursements to parents for having a babysitter in their home while they go do civic engagement activities. And that is where I really got hooked for politicit and felt really strongly to be involved. I used to work for the government for quite a while, and I wasn't able to participate in advocacy and lobbying and things like that because of the Hatch Act. And so once I was back in the States after living overseas and was able to participate, I realized I really want to get involved and I need to talk to these legislators about what is on the docket for the year. And so I would take my tiny children. At the time, I had a 4-month-old and a 2.5-year-old to Salem in Oregon, to the Capitol, and I would schlep them around to talk to legislators and try and get different legislation passed for things that I was very passionate about. And there were times where it was really hard because I would have to be doing this as a volunteer, so I wasn't being paid to lobby, and I was paying somebody to watch my children if I was lucky enough to get someone to do it. And so it was costing me money to be involved. And I am very privileged that that is something we as a family were able to do. But the people whose voices we need to hear a lot of aren't people who look and act and have my background. It's people who can't afford to leave work and go lobby and also pay a babysitter.
So if you're a parent that needs the help of Politicit, where can you go?
So you can go to our website. It's www.politicit.org. And you can fill out some of our forms and applications. Our civic engagement program is for Oregon residents only right now, but our childcare for voters program, there's also a link on our website for that. And you can see where we have set up partnerships. And there are organizations that are providing childcare that we are covering the cost. So we have a handful of sites in Texas who will have open drop-in childcare, and you can just drop off your baby and go vote. And we have a couple in North Carolina now in the Greensboro area, and one up in West Philadelphia.
Excellent. And people can donate there as well?
Absolutely. Yes, there is a link for that.
Okay, great. I would urge everybody to donate to help parents get more involved in the political process. I think it's a wonderful thing and a wonderful organization. And I want to thank you so much, Emily, for being here with us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.